What if I told you something no one ever said to you before? That your legs, the very ones you've trusted your whole life, can lose their strength in just 2 weeks. Not because of age, but because of something missing from your breakfast plate. My name is Dr. James. I'm 83 years old, and after more than 50 years walking beside older adults as their physician and friend, I've come to understand something most medical textbooks leave out. Weak legs are not just a symptom of aging. They're a message, a quiet message, from a body that is still fighting to stay strong, but no longer has the tools it needs. I remember Evelyn. She was 78, a kind woman, sharp mind, soft eyes, but when she came to my clinic, her hands were wrapped tightly around her son's arm. I could see her hesitation in every step, not just physical struggle, but fear. The kind of fear that settles in after months of not trusting your own body. She sat down, almost sinking into the chair, and then she looked at me, not as a doctor, but as someone she hoped might finally tell her what was happening. I eat normal, doctor. I try to walk around the house, but my legs, they don't listen to me anymore. Her son added quietly, she was never like this before, but ever since my father passed, she's stopped going out. She tells me maybe this is just what old age feels like. I've heard that line so many times in my life. And I'll say this again, growing older does not mean growing weaker. But when no one teaches us what the body truly needs in this season of life, weakness becomes inevitable. I asked Evelyn what she had been eating. She told me breakfast was usually toast, sometimes crackers and cheese for lunch. She wasn't very hungry. Dinners were light, no green vegetables, no protein, no sun on her skin. I listened, then said gently, "Evelyn, your legs are not failing. They are starving." That caught her off guard. Starving for what, she asked. For nutrients, I told her. The ones that keep nerves awake and muscles alive, especially 3-3 that almost every older adult I meet is quietly missing. She looked at me, eyes lowered. So, can I still do something about it? I nodded. We start small. We give your legs the tools they need again, and we watch what happens next. 3 weeks later, she returned, but this time she walked in alone. No hand to hold, no shaky steps, and in her smile, I saw something I always look for in patients: hope. I didn't think it would work, she said, but I feel different, like myself again. You see, this wasn't some miracle. It wasn't a new drug or a fancy device. It was simply her body finally given what it needed to function again. Maybe you've felt something similar. You've started to question your balance. You hesitate before rising from a chair. You've begun to avoid stairs. And somewhere deep down, you've wondered, is this it? I want you to know it's not. There are signs your body gives you, clues that point to exactly what's going wrong long before anything serious happens. If you've been paying attention, you might already know what I'm about to say. And if not, then now is the time to listen more closely than ever before. Before the legs give out, they whisper. And the body doesn't fail all at once. It gives you small warnings, soft ones, often so quiet that people wave them away, until one day, standing up feels like a struggle, and the damage is harder to undo. Evelyn ignored those warnings, not because she didn't care, but because no one ever taught her what to look for. So let me ask you, gently, have you felt any of these? First, that subtle loss of power when rising from a chair. You used to stand without thinking, but now your legs hesitate. You push off harder. You reach for something, an armrest, a wall, a cane. It's not always pain. Sometimes it's just hesitation, a wobble in the knees, a flicker of doubt. I've had patients tell me, "Doctor, I didn't fall, but I thought I might." That feeling, that moment where you question your own body, it often begins when your muscles aren't getting the signals they need. And those signals come from your nerves, and your nerves rely on something few people think about: vitamin B12. Without B12, the nerves lose their insulation. Messages slow down, your muscles wait longer, and balance begins to shift. Second, the strange sensations in your lower legs. Have you ever felt tingling in your feet while sitting, or a strange warmth even though your legs feel cold to the touch? Some describe it as ants crawling beneath the skin. Others say it's like a low hum, something you can't quite explain, but it's always there. This is another clue. Your body is trying to tell you that the nervous system is misfiring, usually from a long-standing lack of B12 and sometimes magnesium. You don't need to be a scientist to understand this. Your nerves are like wires, and B12 is the protective rubber casing around them. When that casing thins, the wires spark, the messages get scrambled. It's not dangerous at first, but over time, the disconnection grows deeper. Third, the cramps that come at night. You're sleeping. Then suddenly, a jolt, a sharp pull in your calf or foot. You sit up, groaning, reaching for something, anything, to stretch the pain away. Sometimes it lasts seconds, sometimes minutes. Either way, it leaves you wide awake, heart pounding, unsure what just happened. Most people assume these are just old age. They're not. They're signs that your muscles are lacking magnesium. Magnesium is what helps your muscles contract and relax smoothly. Without it, the muscles seize. And here's what most people don't know. When vitamin D is also low, the cramps get worse, because D helps your body absorb magnesium and calcium properly. So if you're low in both, and many older adults are, your muscles are working harder than they should, all night long. And finally, that slow, unexplained tiredness. Not sleepiness, not illness, just the sense that everything is heavier than it used to be. Climbing stairs feels longer. Watering the garden takes effort. Even talking on the phone sometimes feels like too much. This is what I call the fog of deficiency. It settles in slowly, and because it doesn't shout, most people live inside it for years, thinking it's normal. But it isn't. When your muscles and nerves are undernourished, when they aren't getting the vitamins they need, they stop supporting you the way they once did. And you stop feeling like yourself. So let me ask again, do any of these feel familiar? Even just one. If so, your body may not be failing. It may be pleading. Not for medicine, not for rest, but for nutrition. And once you know what's missing, you can begin to bring it back. When I look back on all the patients I've cared for, the same pattern always shows up. They come in tired, unsteady, frustrated that they can't move the way they used to. And most of them, like Evelyn, aren't missing motivation. They're missing something much more basic. Fuel. Not the kind you buy in a bottle. Not a supplement someone on television promised would fix everything. I'm talking about 3 specific nutrients, simple, overlooked, and deeply essential. Together, they form what I call the vital trio. And when your body starts running low on them, your legs feel it first. Let me show you how they work. First, vitamin B12. If you remember nothing else today, remember this: B12 is not about energy drinks or brain focus. It's about communication. Your brain talks to your legs through your nerves, but those nerves are like electrical wires, and B12 is the insulation around them. When you're young, that insulation is thick and clean. Signals move quickly. You stand, you walk, you balance all without thinking. But as we grow older, we absorb less B12, and that protective layer starts to wear thin. Suddenly, the messages between your brain and your body slow down. You know you want to move, but your legs hesitate. You feel the delay, the confusion, the tremble. I've heard older adults say, "It's like my legs aren't connected to me anymore." And they're right. That's not weakness. That's disconnection. Next comes vitamin D. Most people think of vitamin D as the sunshine vitamin, and they're not wrong, but it's far more than that. Vitamin D acts like a key. It unlocks the ability for your body to absorb calcium, to keep bones strong and muscles firing smoothly. Without enough of it, your muscles lose strength even if you're eating well. Your balance falters. Your bones become fragile. And the sad truth is, after 60, our skin becomes less efficient at making vitamin D, even if we're in the sun. Add to that the fact that many seniors stay indoors more often, and you begin to see why the deficiency is so widespread. It's not just about bone density. It's about mobility, about getting up without wobbling, about walking across a room without second-guessing your legs. And the third is magnesium. This one rarely makes headlines, but in my experience, it's one of the most powerful minerals in the body. Magnesium is the coordinator. It tells your muscles when to move, and more importantly, when to relax. If you've ever had sudden night cramps, those sharp, seizing pains that wake you from sleep, there's a good chance magnesium is involved. And here's the part most people don't know. When your magnesium is low, and your vitamin D is low, and your B12 is low, your body starts to feel like it's giving up on you, but it's not. It's simply missing the three voices that keep it in rhythm. These three nutrients don't work alone. They support each other, and when even one is too low, the whole system starts to struggle. Your balance, your stamina, your strength, they all begin to unravel, not because of age, but because your internal support team is running on empty. It happens quietly, slowly, but it happens. And for many older adults, by the time they notice, they've already been living in that slow breakdown for years. The good news: the body remembers. It knows how to recover if you give it what it's been waiting for. And in most cases, that doesn't require prescriptions or expensive programs. It begins with what's already in your kitchen: simple changes, small portions, a bit of light, a bit of protein, a bit of trust. But before you can change anything, you have to understand why these nutrients go missing in the first place. And chances are, it's not what you think. Many older adults I meet are surprised when I tell them they're missing essential nutrients. They look at me and say, "But doctor, I eat real food. I'm not skipping meals." And I believe them. Because this isn't about not eating. It's about what your body can no longer do with the food you eat. After the age of 60, some quiet shifts happen inside us, shifts most people never notice. First, your stomach stops making as much acid. You might not think that matters, but it does. Stomach acid is what allows you to extract vitamin B12 from the food you eat, especially from meat, eggs, and dairy. So even if you have a boiled egg every morning or chicken at lunch, your body may not be absorbing the B12 inside it. And if you take acid-reducing medications like for reflux or heartburn, that absorption drops even further. Second, your intestines become less efficient. They're still doing their job, but more slowly, less effectively. It's like a sponge that used to soak up everything, but now only holds half as much. Magnesium and vitamin D are especially vulnerable to this. Even when you eat vegetables, seeds, or fish, your body might only absorb a fraction of what it used to. Third, your medications may be quietly draining your reserves. I'm not here to criticize prescriptions. Many of them are necessary, but you should know the trade-offs. Diuretics, those water pills so many older adults take for blood pressure, can flush out magnesium. Metformin, a common diabetes medication, interferes with B12 levels over time. Antacids lower acid, which further blocks B12. Statins, taken for cholesterol, may interfere with vitamin D metabolism. None of these cause deficiency overnight, but taken together, month after month, year after year, they create a slow erosion of your body's nutritional foundation. And finally, there's the change in lifestyle that aging often brings. Less time outdoors, less sunlight, more processed or simplified meals, skipping breakfast, not out of laziness, but because the appetite just isn't there. All of this adds up, quietly, gradually, until one day you find yourself avoiding stairs, sitting longer, losing interest in movement. And no one told you why. The worst part? Most standard checkups don't test for these deficiencies. If your numbers look normal, the deeper imbalances often go unseen. I've seen it hundreds of times. Someone is told everything is fine when clearly their body is not fine. That's why so many people blame themselves. They think, maybe I'm just getting old. They try to push through. They wait for it to pass. But when your legs are low in fuel, waiting does not help. I'm not here to tell you to overhaul your life. That's not what this is about. I'm here to show you what's been missing, to help you give your muscles and nerves the specific support they've been asking for, and to prove to you gently, clearly, that change is still possible. Because the truth is, the moment you start to restore what's been lost, the body begins to remember how to heal. You don't need to change your entire life. In fact, if you try to do too much at once, your body often pushes back. What I've found works best, especially for people over 60, is not a grand plan, but a rhythm. Just 3 simple habits, done each day, gently, without pressure, without perfection. These are the same steps I gave to Evelyn, the same ones I still follow myself. Let me walk you through them. Step 1. Begin the day with vitamin B12. If you remember, B12 is what helps your nerves carry messages from brain to muscle. Without it, those messages slow or never arrive. And yet, it's one of the easiest nutrients to include if you know where to look. Each morning, give your body something it can actually use. A boiled egg, a small piece of cooked chicken, a cup of plain yogurt. You don't need much, just consistency. And if you don't eat animal products, try fortified nutritional yeast or plant milks with added B12. The key is to make it part of your morning, when your body is most ready to absorb and use it. It's like giving your nerves a head start before the day even begins. Step 2. Let sunlight touch your skin. Vitamin D is not optional. Without it, your muscles weaken, your bones soften, and your recovery slows. But you don't need hours outside or a beach vacation. You need 10 minutes. Just sit near a window, or stand on your porch with your sleeves rolled up. Let the early sun, before it grows too harsh, brush your skin. If you live in a colder place, or the sun is low in winter, consider adding foods rich in vitamin D. Salmon, sardines, egg yolks, even fortified milk, plant-based or not. It's not about being perfect. It's about reminding your body each day that strength still matters. Step 3. Feed your muscles their rhythm with magnesium. Magnesium is the quiet mineral. It doesn't shout, but without it, nothing works smoothly. It's what prevents nighttime cramps, what helps your muscles relax after contracting, what keeps your heart beating in rhythm. You can find it in everyday foods, a handful of pumpkin seeds in the afternoon, some steamed spinach with dinner, even half a banana before bed. And don't underestimate the power of timing. Have your proteins earlier in the day, when your body needs energy. Save your greens and seeds for later, when your muscles need to unwind. Avoid frying foods at high heat. It destroys nutrients faster than you realize. A soft boil or gentle sauté keeps the goodness intact. Most of the people I've walked through this with are shocked, not because the steps are complicated, but because they're not. And yet, when done daily, they begin to change everything. Your balance, your energy, your sense of independence. Because your legs don't need motivation, they need support. Just like a plant doesn't grow because you stare at it. It grows because you water it, bit by bit, every day. And before long, the roots begin to strengthen beneath the surface. Michael was 82 when he first came to see me. A mechanic by trade, worked with his hands all his life. Strong man, tough, the kind who never liked asking for help. But when he sat down across from me, I could see the weight in his eyes. Not just physical pain, something heavier. Every night, he said, his legs cramped so hard he had to sit curled up on the edge of his bed, gasping. He could barely walk 5 minutes without stopping. He hadn't stepped into his garden in over a year. "I think I'm headed for a wheelchair," he told me. "And I don't want to be a burden on my kids." He said it like a confession, quiet, resigned. But I saw something else in him, something I see in many older adults who still show up, still try, even when they're afraid. He hadn't given up. He just hadn't been given the right tools. We started with the same steps I gave Evelyn. A soft-boiled egg in the morning, 10 minutes of sunlight, a handful of almonds in the afternoon, half a banana before bed, nothing fancy, no pills, no pressure. At first, he didn't believe it would help. Too simple, he said, but he did it anyway. Because when you're out of options, even the smallest hope becomes worth trying. The first week, nothing changed. The second week, he slept through the night. No cramps. By the third, he told me something I didn't expect. "I went out to the garden," he said, "just stood there, smelled the rosemary, felt the sun." His voice cracked when he said it, not because of pain, but because he hadn't realized how much he missed it. By the 6th week, he was walking around the block without stopping. He came into my office without a cane, sat down slowly, steadily, and smiled. That was all. No speech, no drama, just a smile. And in that moment, I remembered why I still do this work after all these years. Because when someone like Michael finds his way back to movement, back to dignity, back to himself, that's not just healing, that's reclamation. I share his story not because he's rare, but because he isn't. There are thousands of Michaels. Maybe you are one of them, or maybe someone you love is. And all they need is to be told. You're not broken. You're not a burden. You're just missing something small, something within reach. The garden is still there. It's been waiting for you. Before you forget, let me leave you with something simple. 5 quiet truths. 5 small principles that have helped hundreds of older adults rebuild their strength, one day at a time. You don't need to memorize them. You only need to live them slowly, steadily. Principle 1, never skip breakfast. Even if your appetite is small, even if it's just a boiled egg or a spoonful of yogurt, give your body something real to work with. Vitamin B12 needs to be replenished daily. Skipping breakfast might not seem like much, but over time, it quietly drains your reserves. Principle 2, sit with the morning sun. Not for a tan, not for long, just 10 minutes. Let your skin drink in the light. Vitamin D is not a luxury, it's a foundation. Your bones and muscles depend on it far more than most people realize. Principle 3, eat from the sea and the garden. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, spinach, Swiss chard, pumpkin seeds, almonds. These aren't exotic foods, they're tools. They build strength from the inside out. Even one serving a day makes a difference. Principle 4, listen to your legs. If you feel tired after walking a short distance, pause, but don't surrender. If you feel a tingle, a tremble, a cramp, don't ignore it. That's your body trying to speak. And the sooner you answer, the better it responds. Principle 5, don't wait until it's urgent. Prevention doesn't feel heroic, but it is. You don't need to fall to take action. You don't need to feel helpless before you begin. Even a small choice today, a handful of seeds, a walk around the block, an early breakfast, can shift the entire direction of your strength tomorrow. And if remembering all this feels like too much, just hold on to these 2 sentences. I am not helpless every day. I will do one small thing to help my body. Say it out loud if you need to. Whisper it if you must. And over time, something inside you will begin to believe it. Because here's the truth I've seen again and again in Evelyn, in Michael, in hundreds of others whose names you'll never hear. The body remembers how to heal, even after years of neglect, even after loss, or illness, or doubt. You just have to give it permission. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, sit by the window, have a real breakfast, let a little light touch your arms, and say to yourself, gently, like a promise, I still want to keep moving, and I still can. If these words have helped you, I'm honored. If they've reminded you of someone you care about, please share them. Sometimes, one quiet piece of information can change an entire chapter of life. I'm Dr. James, and I believe that growing older should never mean growing smaller. It should mean growing wiser, stronger, and still moving forward. Wherever you are right now, in your kitchen, at your window, or simply sitting with your thoughts, I wish you steadier steps tomorrow and a deeper trust in the legs that still carry you.